Hello there, and welcome to another beekeeping video on Peter Herman Adventures. Today I'm going to show you guys how to use an uncapping plane to uncap honey. It's an electric heated plane. There it is, just heating up. I have a stainless steel sink here, and I use that just to process everything. Right here there's a screw sticking up out of this board, and I use that to prop the frame on so I can work with it easily. And yeah, that's about it. I'm using our laundry room because it's bee tight and it's got hot running water, and it's a good space to kind of cover up and clean up after. This thing's starting to smoke, so I have to get going on the uncapping right now. Here's a little detail of how I uncap. All the wax cappings drop onto a screen, and then most of the honey drips out of the wax. If I let that sit overnight, that wax ends up mostly dry. And then that honey drops underneath and it drips into a bucket. You can see there's a bunch in there already. It's a slow little drip drip. Look at that. A beautiful frame of honey. This one's capped edge to edge, both sides. There are hardly any travel stains on it. It's a work of art. So start by tilting the frame over just a bit so that the cappings fall away and down into the container rather than sliding down the frame and making a mess. It's the honey in the wax that cools down the capping knife, so your working speed determines just how hot the thing is. If you move too quickly, it cools down a lot and it starts cutting through the comb and kind of pulling it. If you cut too slowly, then the whole capping knife heats up and then it just kind of, it starts smoking and burning the honey. And that can actually show up in the taste of the honey. So it's a matter of a little bit of experience figuring out just what the right speed is. Some of the fancier capping knives have a thermostat on them and you can set your temperature. This one is just a straight plug-in. I got this capping knife from a retiring beekeeper. My guess would be it's 30 or 40 years old and still going strong. There it is. Another frame ready for the extractor. So not every frame is capped right edge to edge. This one doesn't actually even have honey on this side, but there's still enough to extract. If you're not sure whether this stuff here is nectar or honey, you just give it a shake, like this, and like that. And if it's nectar, it'll come flying out of there and you'll know not to extract that frame. But this is all honey. This is where the brood used to be, and they backfilled it with honey and pushed the queen further down in the hive. So this is all good to go. This right here is a medium frame. I run a few medium supers, not many, I like having all my frames interchangeable so that I can use honey frames from the fall to get some colonies started in the spring. But there's something nice about the medium frames. They're a lot easier to handle. And definitely the supers full of them are much easier to lift. And as my back gets older and older, I appreciate that. None of this honey that's dropping down there with the wax is wasted. It all drains out of the wax. And I use it as sweetener for coffee, where it won't really show the little bit of a burnt caramelized taste. You can also use it for baking, or you can even feed it back to your bees. It pays to be diligent and get every last little bit of capping, because definitely the sealed cells will not extract. This is a nice frame too. Honey in this one looks a little bit darker colored. Probably made in the spring. And also the cappings have a little bit more of travel stain on it. Travel stain is just the bees walking on it with their dirty little feet. And it doesn't have that nice pure white look that freshly kept honey does. But it's just as yummy.